Hey, it's good to see you guys. Feels
Good
like
to
it's
see
been a while
you.
because Joy's been gone traveling or something.
I have, and it was amazing.
Yeah, sure. We'll be Jay or Ragnar. You're still muted. I'll unmute you. There you go.
Please tell us more about your travel, Joy.
Yeah. You have to say it high level. Where'd you go?
High level. I had the opportunity to visit several stops in Greece, including Athens, Alexandria and Cairo, Egypt, Cyprus, and then Kushadasi in Istanbul, Turkey. And I have to say, Turkey absolutely stole my heart.
I told you, Kushadasi is so amazing. It's so beautiful.
So wonderful. It was the trip of a lifetime. And now I have to go back to all the places because it was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, the one criticism I have of a lot of those old places that it's just time for them to tear down a lot of that old stuff and build something new. I mean, we've seen it.
I tell you though, dude, to get to stand at the Acropolis, to go into a tomb where there's still the pigment on the walls, and to be in a room that's almost 4,000 years old. It was just amazing.
Very cool.
That's a special ambient atmosphere.
It was a major event. I took my wife on, I think, our 30th. We went, I think it was our 30th, and we did Rome for half the trip, and then we were in Israel for 4 or 5 days, and loved it. Seeing, both kind of just parts of that, of all of the history, of course.
Right?
Right. Exactly. Amazing. It's amazing. Well, welcome everyone to Guardians of M365 Governance, episode 23. We're closing in on 2 years of this monthly series, where we're focused on the rapidly evolving and expanding Microsoft 365 governance story. And we're really dedicated to anything governance within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So as always, if you have questions or comments or thoughts on what we could cover or guests we should have on the show, please comment. We're always open to that. And for this 23rd episode, we welcome longtime friend, first-time caller he's the principal technical architect at the Washington, D.C. Microsoft Innovation Hub, Mr. Jay Leask. Hey, Jay.
Oh, you got me on camera. Hey guys, how are you? Good to be here. I'd like to start by saying I'm no longer a principal technical architect. I'm now a principal solution engineer hub at the Microsoft Innovation Hub, formerly known as the Microsoft Technology Center.
Okay. You're a hub at a hub?
Software engineer hub at the innovation. Yes, it's a mouthful. So instead, you can just go with Jay Leask, average intelligence.
Okay, there we go.
You're the first person I've ever met on this planet who has hub in the title.
But I'm also glad that somebody said it, Jay. So it's out there now. So
yeah, he broke the ice.
Yeah.
Folks that were wondering too, with the humor here, there will be lots more of it because of the title of this episode. We're talking today about deconstructing AI for average intelligence. Here's the thing, folks. The webcast, the podcast, the show that Jay co-hosts is called AI for Average Intelligence.
Yes.
And so are we deconstructing AI for people of average intelligence? Or are we deconstructing the show AI for Average Intelligence? I don't know. You be the judge. Well,
you decide.
Yeah.
Or are we finding that AI is just average intelligence?
There's off camera. There's a number of definitions of what AI can actually stand for. I figure average intelligence is the safest.
Well, why don't we start there, Jay? I mean, it's fun with him. I know, Craig is a funny guy too. He has a very dry sense of humor.
He does.
Who's the show really for? What was the goal, the intent there?
So, at the Innovation Hub, we've been doing a ton of AI stuff over the last 2 years. And what we've come to realize is people come into the Innovation Hub wanting AI to solve the biggest problems in their organization. And I'm not saying it can't, but that's not your entry point. People forget that AI can solve your average task and can solve this small thing that everybody has to do. And all of a sudden you've made a massive savings in your resources. And so we were trying to figure out how do we how do we show that AI can do like average things too? It's not just massive machine learning algorithms. It's not just, using generative AI to solve world hunger. It's solving the fact that I spend an hour and a half every day marking on red spam in my inbox. Like how can I solve a big problem but small for everybody and actually gain a lot of value from it?
Yeah. Small simple prompt, big impact on daily life.
Yes.
I would say, Jay,
I'm gonna have to take that and actually put that as part of our show.
The fastest way to experience an eclipse of the Earth is to cover your eyes. And that's one way to handle the inbox. No, it's what's frustrating to me is when I hear people pushing back on, and I get it, the cost of this yet another tool that's out there. But I think of it just from the simplest terms of like with Copilot licenses is by default recording all those things, and what it does around meetings alone is worth $30 a month per person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible the value that it provides with its note taking and the follow-ups and the ability to go in and to say, where was that conversation? Oh, hey, pull from chat, from email, from meeting discussions, from threads in these locations, and for it to go and find it and summarize it and follow up.
So we're in the middle of Connects season at Microsoft. That's our twice a year manager employee chat about how we're doing, right? I'm kind of struggling. We're having a slow start to the year between the government shutdown and the account team shuffle and the changes in my role. It's been a slow start to the year. So I'm struggling with like, what impact am I having? So I pulled up the researcher agent in Copilot and I gave it the instructions for our Connect. And then I said, look, I don't want you to write my Connect. I just want you to look at my Teams meetings, my chats, my emails, my files, and tell me what I've been working on since July 1st. Like, just give me a summary of what I've been working on and what kind of impact I've had with that. And one of the things it did was it brought up in a meeting, in a standing weekly meeting from October. It's like, by the way, on October, you brought up this piece of information that had impact on your coworkers in their understanding of the role. And I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't remember doing that. But the fact that Copilot could just go back and look at that transcript, like you said, Christian, like I immediately have, an impact on your team that I never would have been able to bring up on my own. And all I did was ask it, what impact did I have this year? It was really cool.
It's amazing how we kind of become that saying that we can't see the forest for the trees because we're in so many trees all the time to be able to have that high level view. Like you said, it was just in October, but how many other conversations have you had in a month?
Yeah.
At least four.
At least
four.
At least.
Greater than four. That's probably an extremely accurate statement.
Yes.
For me, I said it last year and again this year, I was caught up on my first day back in the office from being out of office the whole last half of October.
Okay, so Joy. So here's the question that people ask all the time. And since you said I was caught up, how do you know you didn't miss anything?
Because nobody yelled at me. And no customers have been coming back going, excuse me. For me, okay, old school admin, right? Somebody needs something or you need something, you need information, you need to know who owns the server and nobody will talk to you. So you turn it off to see who screams. That's kind of how I treat. Should I be telling on myself like this? That's kind of how I treat email and Teams, right? It's like I'm caught up because I've been back in the office for 14 days and nobody's like, dude.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk to me or not?
Right. Like I have this conversation with people all the time. So there's one of the very first popular prompts that employees at Microsoft were using was, I want you to look at my emails, my Teams messages, and my my chats, and my threads, right? I want you to look at these 3 pieces of information for the last X number of days and build me a table of items I need to respond to. Tell me who said it, what did they say, give me a recommendation on how to respond, and tell me when it's due. And this was one of the most popular prompts rolling around Microsoft. Like I was showing it at engagements and people were like, oh, I use that one. I'm like, right.
Huh?
And the question we would get is, how do you know you don't miss anything? I'm like, well, how do you know you don't miss anything anyway?
Right.
Like you get 200 emails a day, 300 emails a day. I'd have people going like this, like, no more. It's blurring. More.
Right.
And they're like, I get more than that. I'm like, right. So how do you know you didn't miss any? How much time do you spend looking at your email, making sure you have read every single word in every single email? Like, don't get me wrong. There are things you can do to give focus on the prompt, right? Like if you're scared that you're going to miss something from your boss, then go look at the emails from your boss. But that's maybe 2 to 5 emails over that course of time versus the hundreds of other emails you have. And so now you can, and this is where I get into the AI for average intelligence side of things. Like if you let AI handle the mass amount of junk that you're trying to deal with, then you can focus on the most important parts of it. It's kind of like governance for M365. If you let your governance plan handle the major stuff, then you can go look at the stuff that's high priority or high sensitivity. It's the same idea.
And
I love it just because, talking about that prompt and variations of that and creating an agent and running and automating that and doing a bunch of other things, cool things that you could do. But it's the fact that no matter how well you think you have things covered, like I run that and I almost every time I'm just like, did it, I'm aware of it, did it. And then there's, oh yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That.
Every single time there's at least one thing on there like, I could go do it. And it might be something proactive. And the fact that you can even ask Copilot to be a little more proactive and say, hey, what else could I be doing to help my team? What are things that if I did, what could I do in my role with my responsibility, with my level of access to make it easier for the people that I'm working with? And it might be that Christian, take a vacation. Be gone for a few days.
But it points back to Jay, what you said at the beginning. It doesn't have to solve world hunger. It doesn't have to do this. And I think we looked at technology, not just AI technology. We need some big, magical, huge thing. No, many times the most impactful things are what we consider smaller, less fancy, but it's impactful.
Down to earth. 100%.
My first interaction with generative AI. So it was before I came to Microsoft. It was about a year and a half before I came to Microsoft, and Copilot was at meeting transcription analysis was dog food only. So it was internal to Microsoft only. And I sat down with someone who is one of my colleagues now, Brendan Colburn. He's the business applications solution engineer, AI business, blah, blah, blah. He's my colleague in business applications. And we sat down to talk about one of our U.S. Department of War customers. And he goes, hey, do you mind if I run a transcript of this conversation? We've got this new thing we're trying out, and it takes notes for you. I'm like, yes, but do you mind if I continue to take notes? Because I'm very much like a very detailed note taker. And he goes, yeah, no, we'll compare at the end. So we did. We had a 2-hour meeting, and in the last 10 minutes, we compared my actions, next steps, versus the AI's, what is now Copilot's next steps. And it caught one that I missed. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Because the number of times in a 2-hour meeting, I'm like, can you guys pause for just 30 seconds while I type this down, right? We could have saved 10 minutes in that meeting, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we could have saved 10 minutes in that meeting if I just had this conversation and let AI take the notes. Because it proved in that first interaction, it was better at it than I was. And if you think about like 10 minutes in a 2-hour meeting, how many hours of meetings am I in a month? We'll stick to a month. Do you
greater than 4?
What's that? More than
Greater
four.
than 4.
Right.
Do you think that's worth, I don't know, $50? Because if that's worth $50, there's your license.
Right.
Yep.
And that's the conversation I have with people.
And
I get it. Right.
Yeah.
Mike.
No, I mean, well, this is, I was talking to somebody 2 days ago. We were talking about, this idea in project management of going and trying to track things and measure things in a way that you can start like large organizations. When I was at Microsoft, we attempted to do some degree of this, a chargeback model for like the internal IT services. It's just so that internally you're like, do you know what this cost is? Yes, I can do it. But the cost is the people's time and the resources and the servers that are needed to go and solve this, and that should help fall into your planning. Well, with something like this, if you have that kind of model, if you're thinking in that way, again, that's that cost savings. If you're saving 10% in each meeting across the board, here's your kind of quick calculation of 10 minutes per meeting. How many meetings, how many hours of meetings are you in a month? Scale that up to a year. And multiply against what percentage of your salary. There's a cost right there.
Absolutely.
I mean, and again, that's to your point, Jay. That's one factor. That's just those meetings. That's why I said I was, as soon as Microsoft dropped that threshold from 300 seats down to an individual. So me with my MVP tenant, and I could go and use it. I'm like doing it.
Yeah.
I get it. And most of my customers are government, federal, state, local. And their response is like, I follow what you're saying, but I don't have unlimited budget. So where is that money coming from? And that's the math that people then have to take. So, okay, if I can prove to you that the money you spend on your resources could be, that's the wrong phrasing because I don't want to say fire people. If the money that you spend on this license could come from increased value to your people, they're doing more work, they're achieving more things. Like, yes, there's going to be a shift in your workforce.
Do we need to continue paying people with super long titles with hub in their title?
How dare you, sir? How dare you? There's a balance, and you do have to figure out where the money comes from, but it's not hard to find the value of the technology. So you really, when you dumb it down, when you say, okay, I just want to solve this little thing that 100 people in my office do every day. Yeah. It's really easy to find value. So then you have to, So I'll stop.
Yes.
Well, for the people with, average intelligence, what are some of the other, I mean, we've talked about the meetings space, but I think this is where like part of the gap and why going and looking at scenarios, seeing how people are using it is so important to understand it. It triggers something in people. They'd be like, oh, I didn't think of those scenarios. To your point, they're thinking of how do I do this grant for this huge project? How do we automate all these pieces versus small everyday tasks where AI can consistently save you time. And like, what are some other things that you advise?
So search is one of the places that the average person can find a savings in their time. And the way I walk them through it is, so when I'm doing these engagements at the office, I will open up Copilot and I will turn on the talk to Copilot option. And everyone jumps when I turn that option on. Typically Copilot will immediately say, hey, Jay, how you doing? And everyone like jumps like, what just happened?
The AI is talking.
Right. And then I simply start, I'm like, hey, I'm in front of a room of government workers and they are giving me dirty looks like I don't know what I'm talking about. And it's like, oh, that sounds really stressful. What? And so I have this 3-minute conversation with Copilot where at the end of the conversation, it has recommended lunch options near me. And so I ask it for options. It knows where I am because I'm logged in, because it knows where my office is. I might give it a little more clarification because IP addresses sometimes give you like Arlington, Virginia, but not what street. And And then at the end of it, when I turn it off, the chat, and I then have the transcript in front of it, they start to realize like, oh, you just did. So if I had done this, I would have done like a map search and like 100 restaurants would have come up. And then I would have like looked at the first 3 options and been frustrated that it's not like what I'm looking for. So I might have typed tacos. And then I like, if you want to look at the reviews, you got to go to one site. If you want to look at the prices or the menu, you go to another one. But in that 3-minute conversation, it told you which taco place is better known for street tacos and fits a $10 meal. Like, oh, so with search, it's actually able to give you information about the search results rather than just find things for you. And I'm like, okay, so now we've broken the mold on what you think AI is going to do for you. And now we can have a conversation. So search, that's the easiest one for me. If you do a search in Microsoft 365 search, you get a list of documents, a list of emails, and you have to go through every single one of them. But if you do this in Copilot, not only is it pulling that information back, but did you know that the search that Copilot uses is different than the search that the Office uses? Because the Copilot search looks at the context of the document itself rather than just like keywords. And so now you're actually getting a better search and you're getting information about it, not just the results to the
you don't have to just go.
Jay, one short question. I was always aware that the semantic index is the same with the M365 search because Copilot was still using the keyword search index, and Microsoft wants to transform the keyword search index into a vectorized semantic index. Is this still in transition, or is Copilot now finally using a vectorized index and not anymore a keyword index?
I believe. I could be wrong. I could be wrong where we're at in the rollout, but I believe it's using the vectorized side of things now.
Okay. Yep.
But now I want to go check that. And I'm going to ask Copilot while we're doing this if that's what's happening.
Because that would be a huge difference.
Yes.
The keyword index was okay, something, but if you have ever been to Azure AI Foundry and you know how a vectorized index can work, it's just better. More precise, more granular, better results. Yeah.
I can remember, Jay, in one of our early conversations for last year sometime, you had spent the day with some folks talking through Copilot, and prompting is where the person was like, this just seems like a lot of work.
Yes.
Right. And it is, because in search you go dog, collar, walk, blah, go.
Yeah.
And Copilot,
and then pray that it brings back the results. But
right. And you still have to go do the work.
Yeah.
But you know, we were all talking about that one prompt that I think we all still use quite a bit. I do, like, I need a table showing all the things, bolded if I was mentioned explicitly. Yeah, that took a lot of work to put together and to tweak it exactly the way I want. But now I just paste it in, or I can have an agent, I can schedule it, I can do this, I can do that. And that's gotten better. You couldn't have had that conversation, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Do you find that talking to Copilot now instead of typing is also helping to break that barrier a little bit?
It is. So the reason I go through that conversation is exactly what Christian said at the beginning of this. At least I think it was while we were recording and not in the pre-show. We are so trained to think of what are the keywords of what I'm searching for. That when we go to Copilot, we type our keywords in and hope it has the context it needs, right?
Yeah.
But by having that conversation with people, they start to realize that, like, oh, if I just treat it like a person, I get a better result. Yeah. So the story I give people is utilizing generative AI is like talking to a teenager or an intern. And I use my 13-year-old as the example. If I tell my 13-year-old to go to their room and clean their room, I'm going to get varied results depending on the day and how they feel. Cycle of the moon, whether or not the cat sits on their lap. But if I tell my kid, hey, I want you to go to your room. I want all of your laundry in the laundry basket. I want your desk to be cleared off and all the things you move to get put away, not stashed in a corner. And I want your bed made. Like if you do those 3 things, I will consider the room clean. That's the same thing with prompt engineering.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing in the conversation I had about tacos in Arlington, except in that conversation, I spread it out over time. But like a good prompt has all of that information. It has a scope of where the results should come from. It has a structure of how you want the results to come back to you. It has a period of time that you want it to be considering. I say considering because it's not great with only the last 24 hours. Sometimes it doesn't quite listen. But that concept, yes, prompting is hard when you approach it from, I must give it all of this information. But when you get people to think about generative AI as having a conversation with someone, we have conversations every day. And most of us are decent at it, right? Like, just think of it the same way.
I think that's one of the things that I love the most about it. And I find myself, typing, but not yet used in the voice, and I'm excited to be able to literally just have the conversation with it. But when I teach, I train people on AI adoption and talk about it. Said it's never look at the first result. Like ask questions about it because there's bias, there's further context. It's not. It's doing its best to try and find that thing, which is also like search. Like a problem with search is that you're assuming you remember the keywords, you enter those in, but was it tagged correctly? Is it in the right place? Like all those other things. The fact that the AI has the contextual awareness, I've been amazed sometimes at suggestions that it comes back to. And then I go back and I look at the back and forth between it, and it sounds more like a conversation. I will go in and again, this is why using the voice will be so much better than typing it because it's a longer initial entry. But I'll say, I'm trying to do this. I'm thinking this is what the output that I want, but I need your expertise in this area. I think I can find this information from these sources. Consider this. Do some deep thinking over, analyze this other piece, and plus look at the text that I'm about to paste in, which is a description of the thing. I'll kind of all those things, and it'll come back at this first result, and then I'll even say, like I said, I really like that. But now that I see this, there's also these 2 other things. If you add this in, refactor this structure, don't make any changes to these 3, but the other ones you'll adapt. And so that just sounds more like a human conversation. It's doing all the heavy lifting. I'm literally just it's as long as it takes for me to type that what I just said. Those are literally the words that I use in a conversation. I'm not trying to remember some obscure notation,
Boolean syntax query
method for this. Must have Boolean operators, like this kind of stuff. Like, nope, I just have a conversation. I ask for those things. It will go and do all those things. It will Boolean itself.
And the interesting thing is that I feel more respected. So, for example, a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, Ragnar, you've got a crazy amount of headphones. What are the best headphones?" And I never answer directly. I ask them 10 questions back to find out what are their needs and requirements and demand and things. And then I ask them 10 questions and then I can give some recommendations, but I never answer immediately without asking back. So I feel more respected when Copilot and AI are starting this dialogue directly with me instead of directly answering something. Because if I want an immediate answer, then I can go to Google, which is now full of advertisements. I need to go to page number 3 because I'm a blogger like Christian, and many of us, we are bloggers by heart. And but if you go to Google for special highly saturated keywords, the first 2 pages are just ads. And you need to go to page number 3 and 4 to find community blog,
actual results.
Actual results and not paid ads.
First off, Ragnar, you do have a crazy number of headphones.
That's true.
It seems like every week you're doing a review of a piece of hardware, but great guy to go and test.
I stopped counting. I stopped counting
on the road all the time. But
at the number of 50, I stopped counting.
At 50, you stopped. All right.
I stopped counting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but but you're right. And I think you were being kind with the Google results. It's like, yeah, you get past the first 2 pages of ads, and then you'll see 1 or 2 organic, and then there's more ads. I mean, it's a hot mess. It's hard to use it anymore.
Do you know? Okay, so just talking about ads, right? Anyone shop from Amazon, right? Most people do in the world at this point. I have an older car, and my car gets moisture on the inside of the car. And so in the winter, like most people have to scrape the exterior of their window, I have to clean the interior of my window. And so one day I popped open Copilot, the consumer version, the Bing search at the time, and I conversed with it. Because when I went to Amazon and I searched for glass cleaner, like, first of all, every third result is a sponsored result.
Yeah.
And then, like, what do I know about the glass cleaners, right? I could spend hours looking at the varied amount of glass cleaners on Amazon before I figure out which is the right one for me.
It's not the answer. It's just get the dehumidifier and run the cord out to the car.
That's a secondary conversation.
We're getting there, Christian. Don't skip ahead.
But yeah, so I popped open the talk to Bing at the time, now talk to Copilot, and I literally commuted my way to work talking to Copilot, didn't look at a screen at all. And at the end of it, it gave me an Amazon suggestion based on everything we talked about. Like, it started talking about all of the various things that might be causing, and yes, Christian, it did say you might have moisture on the inside of your car. Like, it didn't recommend a dehumidifier, but it did recommend, one of those little buckets with the crystals in them that collect moisture.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, that's exactly, Ragnar, to your point, like, every search index that isn't part of your enterprise today, at least, has sponsored results. Like, how do you know if the value of that? And if you have generative AI doing that searching for you, at least today, because thankfully, Microsoft and OpenAI and they haven't sold the soul of the AI where, like, the results are sponsored yet. But it's such an improvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that just a few minutes that we have left. I mean, one thing I'm interested in, just because, and we've all heard this as technologists and been in this space a long time. Popular question is just like, how do you keep up with everything? It's especially true in the era of the AI. Yeah. And I don't know if you're still hearing that question, but what are your recommendations for people that are struggling to kind of keep up, and what do you recommend they should be doing to stay plugged in?
So first and foremost, and we've used this word a lot, the average person does not need to keep up with what's happening in AI. Like you will go crazy trying. I go crazy trying to keep up. I literally, Ragnar, you're right. I said something and you're like, hose. Are we finally using a semantic index and vector searches? And I'm like, actually, let me double check that.
Yeah.
and so to keep up is maddening. It is a massive amount of time. You all know this.
Yep.
But
I'm currently writing a book about Copilot, so I have to read every single news around Copilot, which is crazy. It's real. I'm drinking from the fire hose.
That's
many hours a day.
Yes, and so if you don't have time for that, don't try to keep up. Worry about the value you're getting from something, and as new things become available to you, like, be open to the new thing, but don't worry about keeping up with it. Administrators, they need to, like, system administrators, they need to keep up with a section of the technology, right? Don't try to keep up with all of it. Keep up with the relevant part, and have people around you who can keep up with the other parts. And that's the only way that you can really keep up with things. It would be literally impossible for me to know everything that's going on with AI. And thank God I have a team of people that I can reach to when a question like, are we using semantic index yet, comes up. Like, that's the kind of thing that you have to have people around you. Or, I don't know, Copilot. You can ask Copilot what's new with Copilot, and it will tell you. And then you can.
What are we today, Copilot?
Or you could use the agent. Let me see if I don't want to get into any AI issues. The skill agent. Still called the skill agent. It can tell you more about who has knowledge about semantic index.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I know that we're trying to keep this episode a little more compact. I know you're trying to do the same thing with the new show as well. You're making it like I think the phrase, I don't know if you or Craig use it, but snackable.
Yeah, snackable size. Yeah. So AI
for the average brain.
Yeah. AI for average intelligence. If we released 60-minute episodes every time, the average person would be bored. And so we are. The couple of episodes we have in the backlog are in the like 15-minute range, maybe 20 minutes at the longest, because while we could talk all day, clearly the four of us are about to do so. Trying to keep the bits and bytes to smaller stories, that's something people can actually pay attention to on a regular basis. I say regular basis, and then we haven't released anything in 3 weeks. So, let's say monthly, hopefully.
Time is a construct.
It's all timey-wimey.
I tell you, that's why one of the reasons why with the long form content, the shorts built off of that content do so well.
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
That, and because if I get bored in the middle, I can just swipe to the next short, and who knows what it's about.
Yeah.
It could be about plants.
It's going to be the good stuff anyway, right? You would put the boring things in the short.
Right.
So.
Well, Jay, I have a last question to you, which is a very nerdy one. I've got an Ignite session on Friday next week, and it's all about
this week. This week.
Sorry,
this happened in the middle of it. Yeah.
And this session is around MCP server and governance and compliance. Are you also using for your AI topics, your daily life, MCP servers? Because sometimes I'm a little bit afraid that I give just too much access to an MCP, where I'm so fascinated about my super helpful prompt. The prompt goes into my Outlook and OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams, and then maybe also into my private Google Drive, Google Mail, and so on. So I add a lot of sources using MCP. Yeah. But then I'm also thinking, hey, did I grant too much access to too many sources? What are your thoughts here when the value is so strong for your prompt, you get so much out of it that you add too many sources?
So I don't have a good answer for you, Ragnar. And I say it like that because the more information that is available to AI, the more you can do with it. However, if you just think about standard prompting, again, the average person using generative AI, the more you narrow down what you're asking it to do, the more accurate it's going to be in achieving what you want it to achieve. And so from an MCP server perspective, you kind of want to bring everything in, because then you have the opportunity to do more, but then you also have to consider like the tools that are using that. How do I narrow down the scope of what they have access to based on a couple of things, not just what I want that tool to achieve, but from a security perspective, like you do want to consider who is going to be using the tools that have access to this MCP server and the information the MCP server has access to, and what can they do with that information. And so that one is a very consultative, it depends answer. And it's not an easy one, unfortunately.
It's going to be a big topic. So when we talk the next time to the PureView team, DSPM for AI PureView team, we need to make sure that they also have MCP topics on their agent compliance roadmap. Yeah. Because it's part of Copilot Studio, and it should be somewhere between the Defender Suite and PureView.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, Jay, thanks so much for your time. I know that we could just keep talking because there's a lot of other things, other topics that we could do. And I know some of you will see each other, or we won't,
I know. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. But anyway, well, until January, you're going to go all the way across town to that event. I forgot to mention at the beginning.
Every day.
Jay's also one of the organizers of the M365 Community Conference, which is coming up in January. The Community Days
event. Specifically.
Yeah. So if you go to communitydays.org, you'll be able to find all that stuff. But if you're in the Northern Virginia region and want to attend that, and I said it was a comment, somebody actually wanting there to be snow for that.
Crazy people.
The first year we did it, we did have a light snowstorm, and it didn't really affect attendance, which was beautiful. If you go to aka.ms/M365DC, you can get information about the community conference we have coming up.
Very cool.
And if you go to otsn.live/average intelligence, you can get AI for average intelligence episodes, which I promise to get one out in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we'll of course have the links to all this out on YouTube and the blog post as well, and the podcast. So we're getting lots of traction on all of those fronts. So Jake, always great to see you. And Joy, Ragnar, until we see each other next time.
All right.
Thanks,
Happy
everybody.
night week.
See you later.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.